Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. We'll go ahead and get started here. Just a few housekeeping items before we do for those of you who just jumped on. If you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to put them into the question box and we'll get to them during the presentation or during the Q&A at the end. Also, this presentation is being recorded and it'll be available on the EEG website in the next 24 hours. And today I'd like to welcome Mindbox, who is doing our presentation today. Rethinking transportation logistics, streamlining operations and costs at Epicor Kinetic with Mindbox customization solution. Welcome, guys, and thank you so much for being here.
Hello, everybody. Today we'll be talking about transport functionality customization. Actually, the presentation will be done by me. My name is Cezary, welcome, and by my colleague Bartosz Adamski, who actually developed that customization. So basically, we will be talking and sharing our experience regarding the functionality that is, well, not directly covered by standard kinetic functionality. And this is about organizing transport and actually registering transport cost of the shipping or shipped goods. Well, we will be talking about how we covered those requirements, basically about maintaining transport charge and transport costs list in Epicor ERP, calculating cargo size on quotes and sales orders, and calculation of transport charges per shipment. So the actual charges per actual shipment with obviously the actual cargo size. And then we'll be talking a little bit about two modes of ordering transport services. Well, basically our customization creates automatically APO within Kinetic just to, let's say, order transport services. And we'll be also talking about generating shipment invoices with transport and packing charges calculated automatically for the actual shipments that we send out to our customers. So let us start with this transport charge and cost price list. This is basically the functionality that we've added to the to Kinetic, and it's based on an assumption that our carriers or our transportation companies, they are registered in Kinetic as suppliers. So obviously we need to register those companies as suppliers, and for each supplier we can enter or our customization allows us to enter a price list. And as you can see here in this price list, let me show it like that. We just enter purchase prices per load that is here expressed in different unit of measurements. So basically we have our purchase price here per destination, and we also have a customer charge for this transportation, also per destination, defined in our price list. So basically in this price list, we can register both supplier purchase prices, so prices that our carriers charge us, and also transport charge for customers that we later will be adding to customer invoices. And let us have a look on this transport cost price list a little bit closer. So basically, we can also use a different unit of measurements. So basically, we can express our transport cost and transport charge for pallet numbers, for the weight of the cargo, and also for load meters, so-called LDMs. And actually, we can also create like thresholds. Yeah, let me maybe zoom in that. And for example, you can see that for a cargo that starts from 0 to half of kilogram in this case, we charge this price, and for a cargo that starts from 2 kilos to 5 kilos, it is just 11 euro in this case. And also one more thing, we also, of course, we need to set the price for the destination. And here we have a kind of a hierarchy. We can express our prices per destination, which is like a zip code or postal code, or we can express our prices per destination country, depending on actually how our carrier construct their price lists. So in case we haven't specified the zip code, obviously the country will be used for pricing. So having those price lists are just as I said before, yeah, they are created for supplier ID. And of course, we consider those supplier IDs or suppliers our carriers. So we basically create a link between our suppliers and carriers in Kinetic. And of course, carriers are registered on different ship vias. So for our customers, we can set up default values. By default values, I mean that well, we can specify actually a default carrier for the customer. And in this case, this is like a customer contract by specifying the default ship via. So basically, ship via means carrier, and for us, it means also a supplier from which we order the transportation services. And obviously, what we can also specify here for some customers, well, it can be that we would like those customers not only to pay for the transport itself, but also to pay us for the packaging materials we actually use to pack the shipment for them. Of course, that may seem that this is maybe a non-standard thing, but actually this happens in business, and it happened to us, these requirements. So we included that in our customization. So basically, we can specify, as I said before, a default carrier, and we can also specify that we can calculate not only customer transport charges, but also we can charge our customers with packing costs. As you can see, this is actually a demand contract entry form, because in this solution, we assumed, and that was one of business requirements, that each sales order will be linked to one customer demand contract. Of course, it's not always the truth, but in this solution, we just did that way. So basically, if we enter a sales order, it is already linked to some demand contract, and actually then we can retrieve our defaults, like the default carrier and options related to packing costs. And well, then we can have like two different modes or two different scenarios. The first scenario can be that we just would like to calculate the cargo size and the transportation costs per the sales order. This works in cases when we actually ship the whole sales orders. There is no back order, and we don't combine the shipments. So in this case, we can actually, as you can see, calculate cargo size directly for this sales order, or we can also calculate directly for the sales order the transport cost. It is saved with this sales order, and obviously it is automatically transferred into the customer's sales invoice. Okay, let's have a closer look on this calculation of the cargo size. So as you can see, this is just a simple button here. Of course, we can specify different units of measurements. These are the same unit of measurements that we use on the price lists. So basically, we can specify our cargo size as a weight, number of pallets, or just loading meters. And this is calculated. I mean, the values for this calculation are based on, of course, on the weight. For example, if we are talking about weight, the value, the input for this calculation is based on the net weight of our products that are on this sales order, and also on the weight of the packaging materials, meaning pallets and cardboard boxes weight that we keep in Kinetic as a packaging code data. So in this scenario, as I said, we calculate our cargo size and transport charges directly on the sales order. Of course, those values are automatically transferred to the sales invoices for this customer. But I would say that the more common case is when we actually want to calculate cargo size per actual shipment. And of course, it can happen that we combine on one shipment many sales orders. So for this scenario, we have like another solution, and I would like now to actually to show how this solution works. So basically, I would start with showing the procedure or the process, how it is going. So actually, we start from the allocation of the goods and releasing for picking. This is, well, standard functionality, but actually the whole process is not done by the users. It's triggered automatically actually at the end of the production process. So if we produce a quantity of our product, it is automatically this quantity is automatically allocated and it is automatically released for picking. And this procedure uses, of course, standard components like fulfillment workbench functionality and material queue. So we obviously start with allocation, and for this end we just use fulfillment workbench, but the whole thing is done in the background. And we are creating picking transaction. So basically what we are really using is allocation templates that we create in the system. And those allocation templates create allocation profiles for different warehouses. And obviously we are using also the warehouse teams in Kinetic, this standard functionality, just to create picking jobs or picking tasks for our warehouse employees. So basically, if we just do that, the result of this automated procedure is that we should have some records in our material queue. And as I said, we don't do that. I mean, the customer or the users, they don't do that manually. They do this is completely automated process triggered at the level of job to stock receipt. Okay, let's move on. And let's see what happens next, because the next thing we have as a result of our, let's say, allocation and releasing for picking procedure is that we have lines in material request queue. This is also standard functionality that we are using. And then we are using PCID's functionality to put the parts into cardboard boxes in this scenario. So then we labeling the boxes and we are moving boxes to the shipping warehouse. So basically, the first step in this process is PCID generation. So we are generating IDs for our cardboard cardboard boxes. And of course, we can select a type of the box that will be used for packing. And of course, we can automatically print labels on a barcode label printer. So we have like let's say an empty box with its ID, and then we can make the next step, which will be putting the product, which is a kinetic part, into our cardboard box. So in this case, well, after this process, we have boxes with products packed in it. We can see those boxes in a kinetic system. And then actually those boxes are moved from production warehouse or from production shop floor to the shipment warehouse. And they are just waiting to be put on pallets. So actually the next step is creating pallets. Okay, so let's move on. And how we do that? So we decided to create one customer shipment entry per one pallet. So actually, in our scenario, in our solution, one customer shipment entry is one pallet. So basically, we used picked orders standard form just to put our boxes, our packed PCIDs on a customer shipment entry, which is our pallet. And then what happens is that we are assigning a package code to this pallet, and this is actually a code that shows us on which type of pallet our boxes have been put or have been stuck. And then our customization just issues this piece of pallet or this one pallet from our stock. That's in this way we can just track the pallet consumption. And of course, in this way, we can also track that we have different weights and sizes of pallets that can allow us to calculate properly the cargo size, I mean the shipment size for this pallet. So the weight that includes the cardboard boxes weight and the weight of the pallet, and also, of course, the weight of our products that we put on this pallet. So basically, we have after this step, we have a pallet with an unique ID. And on this pallet, we have cardboard boxes. And of course, we can provide, we can print also a list of what actually is stored on this pallet. And of course, we can also know how much this pallet weighs. Of course, this is a calculated value. So our next step is actually that closing of the pallet. And when we close the pallet, we can enter it well, as we can link it to the actual shipment. And in our scenario, the shipment is actually a standard kinetic master pack. So we add closed pallets, which are customer shipment entries, and those pallets in turn, they contain our PCIDs or boxes. So we add all those pallets to the master pack. And then this master pack is our shipment. And obviously, what the next step is ordering a transport. And how we do that? We have actually two options. So, and from this point onward, the solution is completely customized. So the first option is, okay, if we have like interface with the carrier system, and this is the case, we can directly in Kinetic enter a manifest for this carrier. And of course, we can set the pickup time for the shipment and some delivery options. And we can register or add our master pack or our shipment to the manifest. Of course, we can add one shipment or more, but typically this is one. We can set payment options and delivery options for our master pack shipment. And basically, we are sending this information to the carrier. And of course, we are if this we send this message to the carrier, and actually we in turn we receive the labels that we can stick on our pallets, because we not only send like a generic shipment information, but we also send a list of pallets, and we of course receive the labels that we can put on the pallets, and also we receive a sender shipment bill from our carrier. So if that's the case, we can just label our pallets, and we can stage them, and they are waiting for pickup. The alternative is that if we actually don't have or cannot have an interface with our carrier, we can just try to order the transport using standard kinetic purchase order. But actually, instead of entering this order manually, like in a purchase module, we just click a button that is located on the master pack itself. And actually, we can just from this master pack generate automatically a transport purchase order. And this transport purchase order actually contains the data of our shipment. And also on this transport purchase order, the transport price is automatically calculated. Okay, let me just go here and let me show this screen. Of course, this is our purchase order. And we use the predefined part number. And of course, the unit price for this transport service is automatically calculated based on our shipment cargo size, be it as that can be expressed in kilograms or in number of pallets or in load meters. And actually, this value is just retrieved from our transport price lists. So this purchase order is actually automatically sent to our transportation company, to our carrier. And of course, we also state on this PO, we state the pickup time and pickup date. And what is used to identify the price for the transportation. So we obviously use the zip code or country code that is retrieved from the master pack shipment document. So, this purchase order is just another way of ordering transport services if we don't have the interface to our carrier defined, and we just want to use the standard kinetic PO, but automatically created per shipment from a master from the master pack. Well, of course, together with the shipment, we create and we print the transport documents. Those transport documents can be kind of different ones, but for our let's say for our business case, the transport document, it was actually the standard CMR contract document that states of course the destination and the number of goods and so on, but this is a format that is widely used in Europe, so that was our requirement. And of course, if we have our transport organized and our shipment is labeled and ready for pickup, when the transportation, when the carrier comes to pick up the goods, we are just confirming shipment in Kinetic with standard functionality, and then we can proceed to issue a customer invoices. And this is another part of our customization, because generating of the shipment invoices, actually we are using the standard process, but this standard process is customized in a way that the customer transport charges and also optionally customer packing charges are just generated based on our shipment size and also based on our transportation price lists. So the result of this of this generation is obviously our shipment invoice. But on this shipment invoice, we automatically can see the transport charge, and well, if a customer has been chosen for this one, we can also see a packing charge on it. And those two lines are actually automatically generated during the process of shipment invoice generation. And this calculation is based on our shipment weight, including packaging materials like pallets, cardboard boxes, and other actually packages defined for our shipment. And also it is based on the our product net weight that we put or we calculate for our part records. So basically that's the overview of our customization and the process that is behind behind that. And actually I would like now to ask my colleague Bartosz to explain how we achieved that customization, or what were the challenges related with creating that customization. So Bartosz, I'm handing over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Cezary. Okay, start presenting. Give me please 1 second. It's that I lost my presentation.
Hello. Do you have any questions regarding this, let's say, functional presentation of the process?
Didn't see anything come through. There was one question, but then they said that you answered it before I got to ask it to you, so
Okay.
should be good. What I can do is unmute everybody so they are able to unmute themselves. If anybody has a question while we're getting the rest of the presentation up, feel free to hit the red microphone button next to your name, and you will be able to jump in and talk. Oh, I see something else that came up here. We use master pack as the pallet level. I see you use ship head as pallet. Could you discuss that decision?
So you are using the master pack as a pallet level, right?
Yep, that's what they said.
All right. Oh, well, how can I discuss that? Well, that really depends, because there are several options how to organize that. For example, we chose to use PCIDs as a, let's say, box or cardboard box level. We use that because of several options or possibilities related. We can, for example, automatically create a label, and we can also automatically issue this packaging material from stock. So just using PCID, I think it's maybe it gives us more options to register, for example, packaging material consumption. Whereas when you are using this, let's say, master pack as a pallet level, then actually you probably lose this possibility. So, well, I'm not sure. Well, I would favor, let's say, using PCIDs and actually to use master pack as a shipment. Of course, any option is of course valid. Yeah. So this is more like a a choice of a style. Then I don't know how to comment that really. Yeah.
Okay, I'm. Yep.
Oh, they said thank you.
Are you able to hear me?
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a question. So for the unit of measure, are we able to do it in feet, USD, pounds?
Oh, well, of course, yeah. So we chose those unit of measures just because, well, that was the requirement, or there were, well, we basically live in Europe, yeah. So we choose metric
Right.
measures, but that's not the problem, yeah. So we can use whatever unit of measurements we want, yeah. So that this is just, well, feet instead of meters and so on. It's just, well, in Europe, for example, those loading meters and meters, well, we can use, well, actually anything to express, well, the cargo size and just to assign prices to that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, I'm ready if there are no more questions for the moment. Do you see my screen?
Yep, you're good to go.
Okay. So, sorry for this short break. Hopefully we had a chance to, luckily we had a chance to answer some of the questions. Okay, I would like to, let's say, describe a little bit from the technical perspective what kind of challenges that we had during this, let's say, customization. Yes, this chain. So, what was the first challenge? So the main question, how to trigger the transport or packing cost calculation generation for each invoice, considering the following things. The main process of the invoice generation should be safe and do not crash potentially. At the same time, the scope of the calculation should be separate for each invoice. Yes. And additional cost should be calculated immediately after the invoice generation, the shipment invoice generation. So, as you can imagine, the transport or packing cost calculation is not it's not simple. Yes, it's quite difficult actually. I mean, there are a lot of business rules which are behind it. Yes, like for example, considering the fact that some customers can have their own transport, and some of so we don't want to charge everyone. Yes, just like from the list. Yes, so this is just an example. So actually, the calculation may fail because of some business logic rule to be broken. Yes, or with some even unexpected exceptions. Yes, because if we generate costs, we need to do some, let's say, method calls, standard method calls like update for the invoice entry business object. And this may also, let's say, fail. There may be a business logic exceptions, yes, and we need to handle this as well, yes. And this should not break the whole process of invoice generation. So that's the one thing. It may also fail just for single invoice, yes? So if we generate, if you know, the shipment invoices generation process generates a list of invoices within the single AR invoice group. So it means that we would like to, let's say, calculate this cost for each single on the level of each single invoice. It may happen that, for example, for one single invoice, the process, the calculation will be successful, but for the other, it may fail. Yes, so we actually would like to calculate it for as many invoices within the group as it is possible. At the same time, we also would like to calculate it immediately after the shipment invoices generation has been let's say process has been finished. Yes, just to avoid any let's say potential problem when the user will start to print those invoices and start to, I don't know, to do some posting and etc. Yes, so our transported packing cost needs to be run immediately after the standard invoice generation process. So how this has been resolved or achieved? First of all, let me show you. Here we have a list of it uses 3 different BPMs. So first of all, I have created a dedicated method, like a business method. Actually, this is let's say a user-defined, one of the user-defined business objects, where one of those let's say methods on this business object has been overwritten with let's say custom functionality. Yes, and so this routine that we can see here is just fully responsible for calculating the transport costs for single invoice. Yes, so that was one thing. Then the dedicated method is called in the loop from the data directive on the systask table. So we have another BPM, which is actually, this is a data directive, which is checking, or it is let's say data directive on the systask table. Systask table is a table which holds the system tasks headers for the processes in Epicor. And actually, this data directive is just checking if this process has been changed from active to completed. Yes. So if it is going to be completed, it means that the process has finished. The standard invoice generation process has been finished, and we would like to here start our own action. And actually, what it does, it just, let's say, pulls the group from the parameters, pulls the group which has been created within this invoice generation process, and it iterates through all the invoices which has been assigned to this group. Yes, and from this loop, we have, of course, the try-catch. Yes, about the try-catch, this is very important. About the try-catch, I will also tell a little bit more later within the other, let's say, challenges. And from this loop, we are just calling this user-defined method for the just to calculate the transport cost or the packing cost for single invoice. So the try-catch is very important here, just to do not affect the main process. Yes, otherwise we can just crash the main process of invoice generation at some point. Yes, so this is very something which is very important. So that's the, let's say, challenge number 1. What was the challenge number 2? The challenge number 2 is actually how to design the transport cost calculation to be able to trigger it either for the whole group. So after the shipment process generation, or manually for the single invoice. Yeah, that was one of the requirements from the customer. Yes, that Eventually, they would like also to be able to generate this this cost or even regenerate for the single invoice. And actually, the point is here also that eventually, if the process, of course, of transport cost calculation, which is triggered after the shipment invoices generation, fail for some reason for the invoice because, I don't know, some setup is missing, for example, user can fix the data, and he can also get back to the invoice. He can click on the certain button. Yes, this is for the transport, and this one is for the picking, for the packing. He can just click on the button, and the process will generate the cost or try to generate the cost again for the certain invoice. Okay, so the main problem here is that we would like to use the same logic for the calculation of the which happens after the let's say the standard invoice generation process in Epicor, and also to be able to trigger it manually. Let's say all the logic should be the same, with some small exceptions, which are actually the exceptions which are related to how system should, let's say, communicate with the user. Yeah. So for the idea is that for the for the process, yes, after the cost calculation is triggered, when it is triggered after the invoice generation, it should not, let's say, display anything to the user. It should rather send an email. Yes, so that was the one thing. But if user is triggering the calculation immediately directly from the user interface, then the message or the error or any kind of information should be immediately displayed to the user, just to inform him what if the process was successful or if it has failed. Yes, if it has failed, then of course we need to give proper information. What was the reason why it has failed? So yeah, so how this was achieved? Yeah, let me switch to the code. So first of all, just like before, this try-catch method is very useful here. Yes, so if we talk about let's say triggering the process after shipment invoice generation, and we're going to catch the error for the certain invoice, then we can immediately actually we can send an email to the user, yes, with the information that could not add the transport charge to the invoice with a certain number. Yes, user can just go to the Epicor, see the invoice, check what was the error. Yes, the error is also sent within the message, and just fix the data and eventually try to recalculate it manually. Yeah, so that was the one thing. And if we run or trigger it directly from the user interface, we run this method, dedicated method for the calculation, let's say like individually. And this actually this method includes kind of a flag. Yes, this flag indicates if we run it from the process or not. If we run it from the process, yes, then we would like to skip, for example, some let's say exceptions, some of the informations. Yes, we just don't. We would like to eventually not to display to the user. For example, like we have here something like transport cost charge already found in the sales order. Yes, because one of the requirements was that if the transport cost has been already entered in the sales order related to the invoice, then we would like to skip generation of the transport cost additionally for the invoice. Yes, because it should be already there actually. So depending on the flag, we can just, let's say, redirect the messages or show it to the user, or just skip it, or just suppress it eventually, yes, if this is not needed. Yeah, so that is how this challenge has been achieved. So what is the next challenge? The challenge number 3 was how to block printing invoice if the transport or packing cost could not be calculated successfully. Invoices could be printed in groups. So actually, we would like only the invoices which is missing the transport cost to be skipped. Yes. So from the group, we should print everything except the missing transport and packing costs. I'm not sure if some of you has been trying to, let's say, achieve that kind of thing. It is quite difficult to disable printing the invoice on the screen using just the BPMs. Yeah, I found it. Let's say that was actually quite a challenge. I didn't know how to do it for the let's say first time, but it was succeed. So okay, how it was achieved. First of all, we have created kind of a flag. If this flag indicates that for this particular invoice, the transport charge or the packing charge should be calculated. If this flag is set for true, then it means that it has not been calculated. It is still missing the transport charge or the packing charge. Yes, so all the invoices which has this flag marked, yes, as a true, should be skipped for printing and for further processing and for posting, of course. Yeah. So that's the idea. So and if we talk about process or the code, it works like that. If we trigger it from the process and there will be any error during the transport charge calculation, then we are just, let's say, catching the invoice header. We are just marking this flag as a true. Yes. So it means, and at the same time, of course, the email will be sent to the user. Yes, with the information that it could not be the transport charge could not be calculated. Yes, and actually it is working the same exactly for the packing costs. Yes, it's just, let's say, separate set of the BPMs. So that's the idea. And how to actually prevent printing the document on the screen. So one thing is that there is a BPM which is preventing actually flagging there is a flag actually on the invoice header which indicates that the so there is a dedicated BPM which is during the printing or when the process is trying to change the document printed flag. And at the same time, we have this transport charge needed or set for true. It prevents for printing the document. Yes, so actually this flag, the invoice document printed, will not be set for true if the transport charge or packing charge is still needed. And additional let's say logic here is for sending an email. Yes, just to prevent the just to, let's say, keep user well informed. So that's the one thing. But still, the problem here is that even if we disable this flag to be changed, Epicor still will not prevent us for printing the document on the screen. So here's the thing what has been done. First thing that was done for the, let's say, because your customer is using a couple of different report styles. One of the report style is just very simple one, without any routing. And there is a second one which is using a routing, and this one is actually sending an email, the invoices to the customers. Yes. So of course we would like to skip sending the invoices to the customers if there is a transport charge still needed to be calculated. So first of all, from the SSRS perspective, I don't have any slide here, but we are filtering all the data set for single invoice, that if the document printed flag is set for false, then it should not display it on the screen. Yes, that's one important thing. And this prevents printing the document on the screen. That's one thing. And the second thing is that this breaking routing has also a filter that if the document printed is false, then it should skip processing the single invoice. Yes, so that's how it was achieved. Yeah. So yeah, that were the three biggest challenges which we had during the project, and it is already running for quite a long time. I don't know, maybe half a year on the customer side, and it seems that all is working fine. So that's it. So thank you very much. That's all from my side. If you have any questions, please just ask.
We had a few pop up that I could read out. You demonstrated this using the Smart Client. Do you have plans to create a version of this to work with Kinetic screens?
Actually, it is from the, let's say, there is not much challenges here if we talk about, let's say, invoice generation. Yes, because there are actually four, or let's say with the labels, there are 6 controls to be used here, and also just one method call from the form. Yes, maybe 2 method calls. Yes, because one is for the transport, second one is for the packing. So it's not a problem to let's say install it on the Kinetic. Yeah, it's very easy to be converted, and all the BPMs will of course stay the same.
And then one other question that popped up here. Where does log.write entry end up?
The log that you have seen in the code, you mean?
So Christopher, if you want to pop in, you should be able to unmute yourself if you wanted to go a little more in depth on your question.
Hi. Yeah, I was wondering, does that end up in the system monitor log or on the actual app server event viewer log?
There is, if we talk about the logs, that it is using this. I mean, from the BPMs, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, on the BPM, I saw a log, ICE something log, write entry.
It's on the server. It's on the server. Yes, because actually this customer is using the on-premises installation, so those logs are just for on the server.
Okay, thank you.
No.
I know we have a few more minutes here. I don't see anything else written, but if anybody else wants to unmute themselves and ask any questions or have any comments, feel free to jump in.
Have you considered using an API to the carrier in order to get the freight quotation? You know, sending the dimensions, the weight, and so on, accessorials.
Actually, there was no such requirement, but I don't see any problem to do this. I mean, it can be done as well, I believe. I mean, with other projects, we have used API to the different, let's say, other parties, and yeah, I don't see any problem to use it. Yes, as well. Yes, to the logistic partners, for example. Yeah, so it can be done.
I know in the States, the rates vary to, well, I'll say every zip code, 30,000 zip codes, although they can be compressed to zip code prefixes, but there's still thousands of rate table entries by hundredweight ranges, and FAK classifications. You know, there's a lot of different parameters that go into coming up with those costs per kilogram.
Yeah, so it will be possibly easier to make an API, yes, just to have it everything updates and consider all the, let's say, to make a calculation logic on the logistics side, yes, rather than on Epicor side. Yeah, that's reasonable, yes, and I believe it can be done as well.
Not a question, but fantastic piece of work.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Anybody else have anything? I know we have about a minute left here.
Are we able to get a cost of what this is?
Yeah, do you guys have a contact info screen to put up? Or if you want to email the info@epicorusers.org email address, I can send you the contact information as well.
So that would be me emailing you guys then.
Yes,
So
if you
good.
want to send it out, or if you guys have any contact info that you wanted to share, we can put that up on the screen as well, and have people directly reach out.
I don't have any slide with the contact info, but we can share it, yeah?
Yep. And like I said, if anybody is interested, you can also email info@epicorusers.org, and I can connect you guys as well. All right. Any other questions before we jump off here? All right. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to our crew and give the presentation. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your attention. It was a pleasure to present it.
Thank you.
Everybody have a great rest of your day, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.